Welcome back to J All Day, everyone. In this week's episode, we're going to do another Survivor Pool pick for you guys for Week 13 of the 2023 NFL season. I was looking through the comments, and you guys want me to go deeper into these games, and that's exactly what we're going to do this week. I have a bunch of sneaky picks for you guys. I know we're getting to the point in the season where we used all of our big-time favorites up. The big dogs are all gone, so we got to really dive into these games, see who's trending, who's not trending, so we can get past one more week in our Survivor picks. Stay tuned. When I start to break down the games for my Survivor picks each and every week, I want to see who's trending and who's not trending. We want to find out what teams are playing hot and what teams are kind of regressing. So the NFL's hottest teams are the Eagles and the Broncos with 5 wins in a row, and then the 49ers and Cowboys both have 3 in a row. So we're starting to see no one else really has that many wins in a row. The next best is like the Colts with 2 in a row. So there's not a lot of teams that are super, super hot right now. There's a bunch of teams that win and lose. So then we got to dive deeper. We got to look at the teams that are super cold. All right, the Jets, Patriots, and Panthers have all lost 4 games in a row. The Bengals have lost 3 without Joe Burrow. And then the Chargers and Washington have also lost 3 in a row. So we're starting to consider teams that we want to pick for the following week. We want to kind of stay away from those teams that are on those big time losing streaks. All right, let's get into the games. The first game of the week is Thursday night. We have the Seahawks traveling to the Cowboys. Dak Prescott is getting himself into that MVP type of conversation. He's looked so good, man. He really, really has. Brandon Cooks is starting to come along in that offense with CeeDee Lamb, who's over 1,000 yards receiving this year. And the Seahawks are on the opposite side of that perspective. They got blown out by the 49ers last week. They're not really good against the run. They're okay against the pass. But I just think the Cowboys are too good everywhere, right? The Cowboys are probably one of the best teams in the NFL right now. They moved into my top 5 in power rankings with Detroit losing a terrible game last week. So the Cowboys are ranked number 5 in my power rankings, and that's because Dak Prescott is having an MVP caliber season, and that defense with Micah Parsons is really good too. Pretty much everyone has probably used the Cowboys by now, but if you haven't, that's a good spot for them because they are undefeated at home. All right, guys, let's move on to the trending Colts traveling to Tennessee, who is pretty good at home, but Will Levis sucks, man. I'm not a big fan of him. His arm strength out to the numbers doesn't seem too good to me. And a lot of their skill position players, like their best receiver is DeAndre Hopkins, right? And I watched a little bit of that game this past week, and his routes are not as crisp as they used to be. He's like rounding big-time out routes. He's not running crisp slants. His posts are lazy. And Derrick Henry, he's going to be 30 in January, guys, so we're going to start to see regression with Derrick Henry moving forward. PFF, I watched their little highlight 3-hour video this past week, and they're like, Derrick Henry's so good. I just don't see it. He runs too tall. He's getting slower as the years go on, and for me, I'm fading Derrick Henry, man. If you have him in fantasy, I'd be trading him. I don't like Derrick Henry. I actually like the Colts in this spot, but the line's only -1, so I'm going to avoid this game. If you're in a pinch and you don't have any of the better spots that we're going to discuss later in this video, you could go with the Colts, but the Titans do play pretty good on home, but they're not very good on the road. So the Titans have only, what are they? They're 4-7 this year, 4-1 at home. So that's a game I'm kind of fading. I don't really like this game. Next on the slate, we have the Chargers traveling across the country to play the Patriots in Foxborough. Man, Mac Jones is a disgrace. This Patriots team is the worst Patriots team I have seen in over 20 years. Mac Jones is terrible. Bailey Zappi isn't any better. They're terrible. I do like the Chargers in this spot, guys, but the Chargers have lost 3 games in a row. And usually in Foxborough, the Patriots are pretty hard to beat, but they're 1-5, I think, this year at home. They're terrible. This is 2 bad teams playing. But crazily, the Chargers, if they win this game, they're still in the playoff hunt for those last couple wild card spots. They got to win this game, though, man. That's why I do like the Chargers. It's not one of my picks of the week because they're regressing. They've lost 3 games in a row, but, man, the Patriots are absolutely terrible. Traveling across the country is never good. On the road is never good. Man, Justin Herbert should be a top 10 quarterback, even top 5. But besides Keenan Allen, he doesn't have a lot to work with. Austin Eckler looks kind of cooked too. So they need to revamp this offense. in the offseason. They really need to give Justin Herbert some weapons. Their offensive line isn't very good either. So this is a game, and it looks like it's playing in the rain. 43 degrees in Foxborough in the rain. Anything can happen in this game. You want to avoid bad weather games, guys. So if you have to, if you're in a pinch, you could pick the Chargers. But I don't like this game. I'm staying away from it. All right, next we go to the Lions at the Saints. I hate Derek Carr, dude. He sucks so bad. He's got good weapons with Olave, and he threw a horrible pick six last week in that loss to Atlanta. They are at home. They're 2-2 at home. They don't have that home field advantage like they did of Saints teams in the past. And the Lions need to bounce back after a big loss last week. Jared Goff, the last few weeks, has not been playing well. This is another game I don't like from a survivor perspective because the Lions haven't looked so good. The defense looks so. They're not getting a ton of pressure on quarterbacks. And Jared Goff, the last 2 weeks, has not played great football. So I want to see them bounce back in a potential game against the Saints before I pick them moving forward. But a lot of people have probably picked the Lions already. They're an 8-3 team. They're pretty good. They fell out of my top 5. They're more like a 7, 8, 9-ish in the power rankings right now. Jared Goff had a great, first 10 weeks of the year, but lately he hasn't been playing well. I don't know if their team is battling with a bunch of injuries or what, but they just don't look as crisp and as effective as they were earlier in the season. So I would fade this game. I would stay away from this game. And then we move on to the Falcons and the Jets. Man, Falcons had a big-time win last week over New Orleans. Bijan Robinson is so good, man. He is excellent. And I have a serious concern with the Jets' defense just giving up. What are you going to play hard for 60 minutes? Put your body on the line when this offense is an abomination, man. This Jets offense, they need to fire everyone. They need to fire the offensive coordinator. They need to fire anyone who plays quarterback that's not named Aaron Rodgers. But they have good weapons too. I like Garrett Wilson. But man, the Jets are probably going to lose this game. So I like Atlanta in this spot. It's not the best spot ever because they are traveling on the road. And they had a tough game last week against New Orleans. So this is a game I like, but I don't love. Atlanta just seems to be progressing a little bit. They have a young team, right? So later in the season, that's what's happening with the Packers, right? These young players are starting to get the feel of the NFL game, and Jordan Love's been playing a lot better, and the Falcons have been playing a lot better. And another thing I want to talk about is Kyle Pitts the most underutilized tight end in the NFL? The Atlanta Falcons need to get him going, especially against the Jets, right? They have a good front line. Bijan Robinson might have a tough time running the ball, right? So they're going to want to dump the ball to the flats, work the tight end a little bit with Kyle Pitts. I like Atlanta in the spot. I don't love it. So if you're in a pinch, Atlanta is definitely a suitable game to pick for your survivor pool, guys. All right, this is my first game that I'm circling this week. The Steelers are very inconsistent, so a lot of people might still have the Steelers in their survivor pool, right? So the Steelers at home against an inept offense in the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a young team. They make a lot of mistakes. Kyler Murray has no weapons at all whatsoever, and he's going to have a really tough time playing in Pittsburgh. It's going to be cold, in the low 40s during game time. Kyler Murray's used to playing in the domes in the warm weather. I really like Pittsburgh in this spot. I have 2 favorites that I like and 3 kind of mediocre teams that I like in this spot. So I have 5 games that I'm circling, and this is one of them. I really like Pittsburgh in this spot. They're 4-2 at home this season. Their offense, they fired their offensive coordinator, and then last week's game, they kind of changed up the offense a little bit. They were involving the tight end a little bit more. Kenny Pickett actually looked like a serviceable NFL quarterback. I mean, he's not great. He's not a top 10 quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but they have a top 5 defense, and when you have a really good defense, you don't have to do a lot on offense. You just have to manage the game, not turn the ball over, and Kenny Pickett had no interceptions last week, and that's what they need him to do. Work the tight end, work the running backs in the flat, keep those passes under 10 yards, just keep the chains moving, and I think the Steelers easily win this game, probably by double digits. I think they win this game 24-13, something like that. But I like the Steelers in this spot. Then we have the Dolphins at the Commanders. The Commanders are really regressing, guys. They just fired their defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio. He is out. I mean, they traded away their best players and Chase Young and Montez Sweat, and then they fired the defensive coordinators. Man, the Washington Commanders, what an abomination. I mean, they are just a joke. And I feel bad for Sam Howell because he's actually having a pretty good year. I mean, he's a young quarterback, so he has thrown some more picks, 18 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. But he's got 3,300 yards. He's going to throw for over 4,000, maybe even over 4,500 yards this year. So they do have a quarterback pair with him and Terry McLaurin for the future, right? But I don't know why they blew up this defense. I guess they don't want to pay these guys. I don't know what the hell the Commanders are doing. But I think a lot of people have probably used the Dolphins already this year. So the next game is one of my favorite games of the week. We have the on fire Denver Broncos, man. 5 games in a row they've won. It's crazy. 1-5 to 6-5. They're in the playoff hunt right now. But the Broncos are so on the road, 2-2. The Texans are pretty good at home at 4-2. Texans had a tough loss last week. They should have won that game, but man, CJ Stroud is just so good. I like the Texans in this spot to win a close game like 17-14, 21-20. It's going to be a really close game, so I don't want any part of this game at all whatsoever. The Broncos defense has looked better, so we'll really see if this Denver Broncos defense is for real when they go against CJ Stroud. Because Stroud is very efficient. He's got good weapons. He's making these young receivers a lot better. They're running the ball so. I do like the Texans in this spot, but I'm fading this game 100%, guys. And this is one of my picks of the week. This is actually my pick of the week. Tampa Bay lost a tough game last week. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, and Mike Evans, they play tough week in and week out, but they just can't seem to close out games. They're 4-7 on the year, 2-3 at home. They're playing a 1-10 Carolina Panthers team, and they're 0-6 on the road, guys. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are my lock of the week to get a W. I don't think a lot of people have used Tampa Bay, so use that to your advantage this week. Go with the Buccaneers. I think Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and Godwin get it right this week and finally get a W. Move to 5-7 and try to keep those playoff hopes alive. They got to rip off 3, 4, 5 wins in a row or win 4 out of 5 to get in that playoff hunt. They need to win this game. If they lose this game, Baker Mayfield's going to lose his job 100%. I mean, his numbers aren't bad. 2,500 yards, 17 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. But Baker Mayfield does hold the ball a little bit longer than I would like him to, and that's why he gives up some of those fumbles and those strip sacks, right? But the Panthers just fired their head coach in Frank Reich, and they fired their assistant head coach in Deuce Staley, which is super dumb. I would have fired Frank Reich. Actually, I wouldn't have fired either of them guys. Their team sucks. Frank Reich, I don't care who would be coaching the Panthers. They would still blow huge. Bryce Young's not very good, man. He's not seeing the field at all, man. There's wide open receivers. He's not seeing them. He's running around like a chicken with his head cut off. They're dumping a lot of balls in the flat, trying to get him going and get the ball to their skill position players like Miles Sanders in the flat. But if you do that, 6 out of 7 times or 7 out of 10 plays, defenses are going to key in on that. And those, screens, the bubble screens, the shots to the flat, they're not going to work. And that's what's been happening. But I like Deuce Staley, man. If I'm one of these teams that need a head coach, Deuce Staley is definitely on my short list to bring in to interview. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are my pick of the week, guys. Lock it in. This is another game that I like, the Browns. The Browns are super banged up, guys. Myles Garrett is hurt. Amari Cooper's hurt with the ribs. I don't think Myles Garrett plays at all, and without him, he was having an MVP type of season. And then obviously Deshaun Watson is done for the year. Their rookie quarterback stinks. I like the Rams. The Rams are trending up. They've been playing a lot better. They're sneakily very good at running the ball, and they have the weapons, man. Stafford with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. I like the Rams in this spot, especially at home, guys. That's another one of my picks of the week. I love the Rams in this spot. So if you haven't used the Rams, this is a good spot against a very banged up. I can't wait to see the injury report. I'll do another injury report video for Survivor Pool on Friday. But the injury report for the Browns is going to have 20 guys on it, man. And the Rams are getting healthy. They're playing a lot better. They're playing more team football, guys. I like the Rams in this spot as well. And then we have the best game of the week. The 49ers travel to Philly to play the Birds. I'm not touching this from a Survivor perspective, but this is going to be an incredible game. You guys got to tune in to watch this. This is must-see football. Wow, holy shit, that game's going to be fucking awesome, man. 8-3 49ers. They are 4-2 on the road, so they're not as good on the road. And 10-1, the Eagles are 5-0 at home. This is going to be an epic game. A possible NFC Championship game preview. This was the NFC Championship game of last year. So I think San Francisco wants some revenge in this game. I think they win this game. I like the 49ers in this game 27-24. And then we have the Chiefs and the Packers. This is another game I'm not touching at all. The Packers are trending up. They're playing a lot better. These young guys are looking a lot better. Jordan Love looks better. And the Chiefs, I'm not completely sold on the Chiefs this year, guys. I mean, the defense is up and down. They played pretty good the first 10 weeks of the season, but the last few weeks, you're starting to see some holes. And the receivers for the Chiefs, there's a lot of holes there, man. A lot of holes. They drop a lot of balls. They run bad routes. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce can't do everything, but we'll see what happens. And this is another game I like for the favorites perspective. The Bengals, with no Joe Burrow, they're not the same without Joe Burrow. They might not win a game for the rest of the year. Their backup quarterback blows. The Jaguars looked pretty good last week. They're 8-3. They are 3-3 at home, so they don't really have a home field advantage, but they should beat this regressing Bengals team without Joe Burrow. A lot of people might have used Jacksonville already this year, but if you haven't, I like them in this spot with playing the Bengals and no Joe Burrow. They're just not the same without Joe Burrow. And you could see a deflated Bengals team. They're just not playing with the pizzazz that they do when Joe Burrow is there. I like Jacksonville in this spot. So for my favorites, I like Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. But there's a lot of teams that we might not have used in our survivor pool, like Atlanta, the Rams, and Tampa Bay. But for Week 13 of the 2023 NFL season, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get a W over the Panthers as my lock of the week, guys. If you have any questions about the games or who you have left in your survivor pool, shoot me some comments and I'll try to get back to everyone. I almost got back to everyone last week, but let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this video? Do you like these more in-depth videos? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you on the next video. Peace!